taught in the seerah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. And as we know, it's a great thing to do to learn something about the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. But where we're going with it is going to help us to keep the knowledge that we have by memorizing this or these abiyats, inshallah ta'ala. So we started from his birth, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to the time that he spent with Halima, the Sa'diyya, and also we know how long or how many years he spent with his mother. His father died when he was born. We know that he was born on Monday. And we know that alayhi salatu wassalam, all his children, we know their names, and we know also their age or how they are in order. So the first was Qasim, and the last one was Fatima or Kulthum, as we all went through their abiyats. And we know that all of them, they died before the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. We know Qasim and Abdullah, they died in Makkah, and the rest they died in Al-Madinah. We know that Fatima died after the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, 6 months after the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. So now we know exactly when Quraysh built, or he built the Kaaba, or renovated the Kaaba. Or we can say they built because it was completely destroyed. And we also know that the Prophet ﷺ, when the dispute happened in Quraysh, he's the one who resolved the dispute, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, with his wisdom, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, even before he became prophet. We know that happened, and it was 35 years after his birth, alayhi salatu wasalam, and 5 years later he became a prophet, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and that was when he was 40 years old, alayhi salatu wasalam. And we know that, alayhi salatu wasalam, the first ayah that, or he was sent on Monday, of course, in the Awwal or in Ramadan, and we talked about the dispute that happened between them and we combined it. We know that also. Some said it was in Ramadan, some said it wasn't a Awwal, but we combined that argument, alhamdulillah. We also know the first ayah, or the first surah that was revealed was Iqra, was Surah Iqra. And it has no differences. There's no differences in the revelation of this surah, the first surah that was revealed to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. And I think this is where we stop. Okay. Nah. And then we know that in Makkah when he was sent, Jibreel alayhi salam came and taught the Prophet alayhi salam how to make a wudu. In the hadith, the Prophet was taken by Jibreel, the mountain, and Jibreel showed him how to make a wudu and how to purify himself. Then Jibreel he looked at him, and then he did. Then he prayed. And we know that the prayer was only 2 prayers in Makkah. There was only 2 prayers, one in the morning and one in the afternoon, or in the evening. Then the Prophet ﷺ went home and made a wudu while Khadija was watching him, and Khadija also made a wudu, and the Prophet ﷺ led Khadija in prayer, just like Gabriel did. So the Prophet used to say, Sallu kama ra'aytum wa yusalli, pray as you see me praying, because he did not intend to pray, but Allah sent Jibreel to show him how to pray, to show him how to pray. So we stop right there. Now, and also we said after that, 20 days after he was sent, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the jinn, they are blocked from having information from the heavens. Quraysh, they saw a lot of shooting on the sky, and that was something strange. That was the jinn being shot from, or being blocked from going together to the sky and fighting for information. And what Iblis did, he called the jinn to look around what happened, and one day they saw the Prophet ﷺ pray. And they said, this is the reason why we are blocked from going and getting information from the heavens. Now, we also talked about the two levels of the call in Makkah, or the two stages. The first stage was to call in secret. To call in secret. To call in secret. To call in secret, and that happened. And also the stage where the Prophet was told to call the people in public. So the proof of calling in secret was to call the closest family. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْأَقْرَبِينَ. Call the closest people, the nearest people to you, your family, call them to Islam. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it was how many years? 3 years. 4 years in calling Dawah Sirriya. And after 4 years, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala فَاصْدَعْ بِمَا تُؤْمَرُ وَأَعْرِضْ عَنِ الْجَاهِلِينَ. Is how he went to Jabal Abi Quraysh, and he called people of Quraysh, and he told them what he told them. And Abu Lahab came and rejected him and said bad things about him. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Continue today.
وأربع من النساء واثنا عشر من الرجال الصحب كل قد هجر.
Now, so when the Prophet was told to expose his call, to call in public, Quraysh, they started torturing the people who accepted the call of the Prophet in secret. In secret, they used to go and hide. And you don't have to tell people I'm Muslim. I know this. COVID thing is a lot of things. So the Quraysh, when the Prophet was calling in secret, they don't know exactly. They used to accuse one another. Are you Muslim? Or are you Muslim? So no one knows who's a Muslim, who's a Muslim. So you don't have to tell people that they're Muslim. But if they see some changes in you, it's a bad guy. But that's a good guy. Because they will see the person stop drinking alcohol. They will see the person stop worshiping the idols. They will see the person will not lie. Like every quality that makes the person better, the person will be like that. Oh, that's it. He has to be in a radar, he has to be watched, on what list. Just like in some Muslim countries now, if you're being good, they watch you. It's very strange. It's very sad. You grow your beard, they watch you. You go into Fajr, they watch you. You maintain a 5-day press, they watch you. Exactly what Quraysh did. He said, being good, put him in the list. And he'll put somebody to start watching you. Till they catch you. Okay, we know. قد سبقت. بمعنى you become the bad guy. And if you are weak, you'll be tortured. So in the secret, it was hard to identify the people, except people like Abu Bakr. He was strong enough to stand for himself. And if they didn't accept Islam, that is the time that he started calling his close friends. Yes, Zubayr, yes, Uthman Ma'afan, Ma'awf, all these people, Al-Hagie, they went to Islam through in persons, talk to them, tell them, and they trusted him even before Islam. But when the Prophet ﷺ was told that you have to tell everybody about religion, and everybody who's a Muslim also, they just have to face their reality that they are Muslims. Now things change. People who are from weak families cannot defend themselves, and they were, targeted by Quraysh. And just when they started targeting the weak people, then they came together, they agreed regardless. Whoever you see, just if you're allowed to do bad thing against them, regardless who they are. Because of these people are bad people in society. So now the torture moved from the weak people even to the people who are strong. And the families of those people have to reject their people and be with Quraysh in order to extend that suffering to their own people. That's how it started. Before it used to be the weak people, now it's for everybody. So then the Prophet ﷺ, he had some protection, that at least people will look at Abu Talib, who's one of the leaders of Quraysh, and he will not let anyone publicly harass or say bad things to the Prophet ﷺ. At least at some level, he had that protection. But he's one person, so he cannot protect his companions. So one day he came to them, he said, go to migrate. Go to this place where they have a good king. He's not a Muslim, but he does not let anyone to be wrong in his land. Subhanallah. He will not let anyone to be wrong. Everybody who lives in his land will be treated good. Will have their rights. And the Prophet did not send them there because he was a Muslim or because of the land was a Muslim land. No, he sent them there because of the justice that king maintained. It was not, so that's the reason why don't be fooled by a Muslim country. No. Don't be surprised if you see bad things from a Muslim country. Do not be disappointed. Because justice, of course, people who should be just the most are the Muslims. But if they are just, if they are unjust, they are unjust. There's no justification for it. If they are Muslims and they're just, they're just. So that's why the Prophet ﷺ, he told them, go there to have protection. So they run away from their people with their religion, went to another people. Because of the leadership they have, they were protected because of their religion. Because of their religion. And that king was just. And the first time that they left, they were, what did you say? وَأَرْبَعٌ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ وَاثْنَيْ عَشَرَ. 4 women and 12 men left for the first time. We talked about both the hijrah. There were 2 hijrah in Al-Habash. First time, there were only 4 women and 12 men. How much in total? 16. So total 16. Do you know 1 or 2 or 3? Uthman is the first one. Actually, that's a good point. Uthman, actually, they didn't go out together. Like, oh yeah, we are going to play a sample, wait for the car. No, it wasn't that way. They have to go and have an appointment somewhere that they can meet in the mountains. No one will know, okay, oh, they are going to my farm. Just, you go. If they see you prepared, you cannot go. If they see you look like you're traveling, you cannot go. So Uthman with his wife, Ruqayya, they went first. They are the one who left. أول مهاجر إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى Uthman. The first person who migrated was Uthman. And his wife Sirriya. They left, and the rest, Musab ibn Umayr, Talha, they came and followed. So they were 12 in number, men, and 4 with their husbands, with their, Muslim women and all those ones. They were with them. So they went to Habasha. When they went, because the Prophet told them, go and identify yourself with the king. The Prophet never met the king. But if you're good, your goodness will be known. And if you're bad, your bad will be known. That's it. So your actions represent you, right? Or you're representing actions. So he was representing his action, and he was known, and his land was good because he was just. But he was a Christian. He was a Christian. Now.
إلى بلاد الحبش في خامس عام وفيه عام.
That happened في خامس عام. خامس عام here cannot be Hijri, right? Cannot be ميلاد النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام. It was after the Mab'ath, after the Wahy, after the Prophet, 5 years after the Prophet became Prophet. So then 4 years, that was Syria, right? Then 1 year later was Da'wah Jahariya. So this is where things were very, very, very tough. You have to understand 2 things in order to understand the need of migrating here. Number one, you need to know who are the Sahaba. How strong they were. How strong were they? And how much could they take? You have to understand that. So you have to understand who is Sahaba, how much can they take? And that will make you understand how much made them to run away. What did Quraysh did to make these people leave their people, their land, to go somewhere else? These 2 things will make you feel the pain that the Sahaba went through. Uthman ibn Affan, Talha, Zubayr, and Abu Salama, and Salama. All these people, they were not easy people who run away easily. No. Who will say, oh, no, this is the heat, no. It will be something that they don't bear anymore that will make them go. And also, the one who told them to go was the Prophet ﷺ. So it was, you can simply say it was between life and death that the Prophet told them to go. And the proof of that is there are people who are tortured to death, who are killed within that period. So they have to go. They have to go to preserve their iman, to preserve their la ilaha illallah, as we said. They went. And somebody may expect that they went with horses and camels. No, they went walking. They went walking because they cannot take anything. And they went with very little that they had. But they went directly to the king. They identified themselves, and they told him, we were told by our leader, by our prophet, to come here because everybody enjoys justice in your land. He said, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're a very honorable guest. Stay here as long as you want. No one will say anything. And if you need my service, I'll give you service. You know what? They continue their business. But there's something called ghurba or shawba. Ghurba is, you don't know ghurba. But we know what ghurba is. Ghurba is, I don't know if I have it in English.
Is it abroad, living abroad?
Yes. But how, like living abroad, yes. But, like,
Homesick?
homesick. If you say loneliness, you will be lonely or homesick. You are an American, you came here young, so you don't have homesick. So if maybe we have homesick on us, man.
No.
That's it, you melted it. That's it.
No, I do.
So that homesick thing, you don't feel it, right?
Horrible.
That غربة. You know, when they understand غربة, you sit, the طلاب اللي بيقدروا tell you, والله سوف أذهب أشرب هذه غربة. You sit, everybody's around you, you just have homesick. You just want to go home.
The feeling that you feel when you're outside your country.
When you're outside your country.
You're home.
When you feel like homesick, you feel like you really want to
But you're here and your mind.
Your mind is there. They just, yeah. Till you be there, you will feel it. So then, and that will come. So they were in their 50th year, right? The same year they came back. I'm continuing.
وفيه عادوا ثم عادوا لا ملام.
So, وفيه عادوا ثم عادوا لا ملام. The same year, they went back and they came back again. And you couldn't blame them. He said, you couldn't blame them. They went few months and they came back. All their minds, even though they were honored in this place, but they really want to go. They really want to go back. And while they were there was wrong information reached them that people of Quraysh accepted Islam. The same year, Am al-Khamis. And this is where when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed Surah Fussilat. And the Prophet ﷺ recited that surah. When they killed the Prophet ﷺ, they bargained to deal by saying, okay, Muhammad ﷺ, now Quraysh, they wanted to make a deal with you. Things are going out of hands, going out of control. Now, if the reason why you're doing this is to be wealthy, we give you our wealth to be the wealthiest. If the reason we're doing this is because you saw a woman that you want to marry and you couldn't marry, and of course he has the most beautiful, most honorable wife, we can give it to you. If you want to be a king, we crown you as a king. So Quraysh, they really wanted this to stop with any need. And the person was talking to him, was talking about listening. And that was Walid bin Mughira, Khalid bin Walid's father. And he told him, he said, Uncle, are you done talking? He said, yes. So with all these things that he's accusing or talking or offering the Prophet, he was listening. That's the reason why you always have to be a good listener. Even if somebody says something you don't like, just listen first. Listen and respond when they're done. He told him, are you done, uncle? His uncle, out of respect. He said, yes. He just started reciting Surah Fussilat. Till he reached to the eye of sujood, and he made a sujood. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And the eye is in Surah Fussilat. He made a sujood, and the guy who came to negotiate made a sujood, and everybody around him, because when the Kaaba made a sujood. You know, the Bedouin, they used to come to Makkah a lot. Especially the Bedouin, they like to sit in their nawali, in their coffee shops, so I call it, and talk about everything. Oh, they came from Makkah and gave us the news of what happened in Makkah. So this is how the information went out. So one person saw all Quraysh making sujood and waiting for the Prophet to rise. And the Prophet's sujood is not like our sujood is long. And everybody was maintaining the same sujood with him till he rises and everybody rises. The Bedouin that sit, Quraysh, all of them, the whole entire Makkah become Muslim because their leaders made a sujood with the Prophet. That information went just like the internet. Boom, 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 everywhere. And suddenly it's in Habasha. Oh, Quraysh, they made a sujood, they accepted Islam. What do we expect? These people, they ran away because Quraysh wanted to kill them, now become Muslims. The same year, they went back. They went back, they reached Makkah. Actually, the situation was worse. Some couldn't even enter Makkah. Uthman didn't enter Makkah, he went back again with his wife. Look at it about it. They weren't allowed to enter Makkah, not that they weren't allowed, but their life was in danger. And one of the people, Abdullah Mas'ud, authentically he was part of it. And he came back. He entered Makkah. But he did not He entered Mecca and he was tortured a lot. Then, with a very quick preparation again, the Prophet ordered him again to go, because this time they started killing them. They started killing them. This is when they killed Sumayya, and this time they killed few Sahaba who were dead by the hands of Quraysh. And the Prophet told them to go again. So they came back the same year, they went back. Some of them didn't even enter inside Makkah till they stopped, and those people are Uthman, of course. Uthman authentically he didn't went inside Makkah with his wife. They went back when they were told that things are even worse right now. The information you get was wrong.
83 رجل ومعهم جماعة حتى كمل.
Now, so at this time they numberized. This time there were 83 men and a group of women, and he will tell us exactly. So now, when Uthman was in a mountain before Makkah, they know Uthman didn't come. So people who came in, they started talking to the people what they saw in that land, how they were treated in that land, and how much they enjoyed practicing and learning more about their deen, and how these people wanted to hear from them, and like how much freedom they had in that land. Even though it's hard to leave the Prophet here, but those people say, okay, I will go. But they told him also, getting there is difficult. Getting there is difficult. You might apply for a visa, maybe. Yeah. But then the number arrived. So they had many people who joined them. And in this trip it was 83 men. Now.
هن 10 ثم قد أسلم في السادس حمزة الأسد.
Now, so in this there were 18. There were 18 women. So 18 women with plus 83 men. Total. 18 women and 83 men. 101. So 101. So the number jumped from, what was the first number? 16. So from 16, most likely within that year, many people accepted Islam. So with the pressure, but many accepted Islam, so they had a chance to get more people. But in this case, it was scary for Quraysh, because I'm now talking about 100 serious people, 100 smart people, 100 people from them who went outside, across the land, went over part of it. How about if they become stronger there and come back here? So Quraysh, they studied the situation, they said it's a bad idea to leave those people there. Whatever we can do to make sure they come back, we have to do it. So they gathered a gift. And there was a guy who used to know, who used to be a friend with this king. And they sent him, they said, go and tell the king, he's your friend, convince him to give you these people or to send them back to Makkah. You can take care of their criminals. This is what they did, this is what they did, this is what they did. And that was Amr ibn As. The great Amr ibn As. He's the one who led that group. And he went with a lot of gift to the Najashi. He went there, the Najashi welcomed him, talked to him. He said, Najashi, I never asked anything, but today I have a request. What is your request? There are criminals that are in your land, we need them. Who are they? He described them. And Najashi knew exactly where they're from. They're from Makkah. Because Najashi knew about Makkah. He was a king, but very educated, very religious, very pious. He said, okay, what is their crime? Okay, there's a crazy person who came to Mecca, claimed that he's a prophet. He is destroying our land. He is disconnecting the kinship. He just named all the bad things. And these people are following him. And now our land, our city is going crazy because of these criminals. We have to bring them justice. He told him, and Najashi, actually, no one called Najashi to Islam. No one called Abu Bakr to Islam but Najashi. Yes. When he was coming, he was filled with hatred and anger. But he told him, Najashi, he told Abu Ma'as, he said, Abu Ma'as, I am kind of disappointed on you. He said, why? He said, you're a very smart person. I know you. He said, did you really evaluate that person? Did you really listen to what he was saying? So Najashi is not a Muslim at this moment, but he's calling Amr Ma'as indirectly. He said, you came here because you're angry. You came here because of they believe in something you don't believe. But go back and think of it. These people that I saw, they're good people. So he let him go. The first night he wouldn't do anything. He said, okay. And Umar Ma'as, that night he couldn't sleep. He came, he never asked, like there was a good relationship with him, but his mission would be, and Umar Ma'as, he's always a winner. Has to win. Regat has to win. This was his character, has to win. So he came back, he said, actually, now he tried his political connection, it didn't work. Now he went to the spiritual part. He said, actually, Najashi, I have to tell you this. These people, if you know exactly what they said about your prophet and his mother, is totally destroying your religion. He said, what they said? He said, they are saying a lot of bad thing about Maryam and Isa. He said, if they say that, and that's how you said it, that's what they're saying, I'll give them back to you. But I have to hear from them. He said, no, you don't have, this is what they said. So he brought them. And it was Najashi was sitting as a king, as the three kings, his guests, and they came. Ja'far was there. Uthman was there. Talha was there. Zubair was there. They asked him. He asked them, he said, this man is here, we know he's from. Our land, we know he's in Ma'as, respected brother. And we are happy to see him. But we know that he is not here for our good. ليس هنا لصالحنا. He's only for our good. He said, you guys are saying bad thing about Isa and Maryam. So Ja'far, he recited the ayah. Surah Maryam, he recited the ayah. So this is what we believe. He said, we do not believe that he is the son of God. Because he said, إِنِّي عَبْدُ اللَّهِ آتَانَا الْكِتَابَ وَجَعَلَنِي نَبِيًّا وَكَانَ مُبَارَكًا أَيْنَمَا كُنتُ أَوْصَانِي بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ مَا دُمْتُ حَيًّا. He said, this is what we say about him. He said, he was never God, he was never son of God, he is the son of Maryam. This is what we believe, and we believe that he's a prophet. He's a human being. Najashi, he cried. And the king used to have a stick. He said, what you bring, what the prophet brought, and what we have, he put two lines. He said, they are just like these lines, next to each other. He said, I'm sorry, I cannot do what he said. And he told him, go and enjoy this, my young one. So, Amr asked, This time he lost, but actually he gained. Because Najashi made da'wah to him indirectly. So he left Makkah. But Umar ibn As was like losing. So while Najashi was there, his parliament, because you cannot be a king at that time being in a different religion. You have to be a Christian in order to be a king. I think in America what they have that. Can you,
The president.
yeah, can you be the president not being a Christian?
If you make it.
If you make it.
Not just.
You make it.
I think specifically, most of them have been Catholics.
Yeah.
But that's not a requirement.
They say it's supposed to be separation of church and state, but still, it is a Christian country.
Yeah, it is, but it's not like you can't if you aren't.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to get there, right? To
I'll
get
say
there without.
if you make it.
Yeah, if you make it, yes. If you make it, it's a good
You
thing.
make it.
If you make it, yes. Yes. That will change the whole entire time, like, yeah, the inauguration and all those things. It's going to be tough. Yeah, and that is going to make a lot of things. So just imagine, I just want to make that really surah. To make the picture close to us. At that time, you cannot be. So the parliament, they said, this guy, the way he talked and the way he cried, maybe he believed in this. And they voted against him. They said you have to prove that you still Christian, Catholic, and you have to swear. Because they accused him already. He said, I believe in Christianity, and I will swear by it. So he went up to Ja'far. Ja'far gave him not was not a mushaf or sahifa, a piece of Quran. This is some of the ulama, they say it's okay to swear by the Quran. No. So he put it in his chest. He dressed up. But he was referring to only Allah. So when they asked him, he has to give an oath. And he said, I swear. You know, the cross is on top, right? It has a red cross. So he said, he was in a very tough situation, but he was a believer. He said, I swear by this. That's it. So what he was referring to, not the cross, what he was referring to is Sahifa, the ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they said, okay. They said, okay. And this is how, he stayed as a king, and there was an attack that happened in his land. He went for fight, and Ja'far and Uthman, they offered to him, he said, no, you guys have guessed. Then afterwards he was attacked. Then it was over, he conquered, he won the war and all those things. This is how they stayed in Habasha. So this was the connection between the Najashi and the Prophet ﷺ. You wonder, like, how about if there were FaceTime at that time? They would see each other, right? But they never even talk to each other. They never saw each other. But they liked each other so much that the Prophet cried when he died. In Medina, the Prophet didn't have a chance to go and see him. But he was upon Islam, and the Prophet secretly used to send people to go and learn with him about the deen. So he died upon the deen. When he died, the Prophet ﷺ, Jibreel is the one who came to the Prophet and said, your friend died. And that was sad to the Prophet ﷺ that he died, and he probably called him and said, your brother has died, and you have to be sort of alive on him. And he did pray, Salat al-Ghaib on Najashi in Medina. So this is to prove that Najashi was righteous Christian, but then converted to Islam. So righteousness always brings to the person something righteous. So this is how this story, the connection between, but they never met. But Najashi, he actually did an aqd, with the Prophet ﷺ in Habasha. He did marry Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam in Habasha. One of his wives was married, to the Prophet alayhi salam by the Najashi, where they were while they were there. So there was a lot of connection, but they never met. They never saw each other. Now, final one.
وبعد 49 من سني رسالته مات أبو طالب ذو كفالته.
Yeah, the temperature goes down after a certain time. So you have to nice schedule, right? Very well. So now the time has changed. Still Mecca is Mecca. Their people are there torturing the people. And the Prophet ﷺ was under the protection of Abu Talib, physically, also under the support of his wife spiritually, Khadija. But the 9th year after his prophecy, Abu Talib died. Abu Talib died. And Abu Talib died then? Yeah.
49 من سني رسالته.
No.
And the fourth?
Let's go and complete it.
وبعده خديجة توفيت من بعد أيام 3 مضت.
No. So Abu Talib and Khadija, they died, and the difference was 3 years between them. So the physical protection, this good argument protection support, and the spiritual support that the Prophet ﷺ was having, they were all gone within 3 days. Some said Khadija died first, some said Abu Talib died, but the most authentic is Abu Talib died first, and Khadija died. So this is what the Seer, they call it Am al-Husn, the year of sadness and sorrow. It was really tough on the Prophet ﷺ. Now you have a wife who is always there for you, the mother of all your children, the one that you spend all the good times with, everything. He's her wealth and everything, righteous, good. This is your home. If outside is hell and your home is paradise, you always enjoy. But if your home is hell, you don't enjoy. So, but the Prophet ﷺ, he's outside, he always, with the support of Abu Talib, physical, even though he was not, that's why they said, the physical support was a kafir, but spiritual support was a mu'mina, and they both died at the same time, 3 days. So Abu Talib died, he's figuring out what's going to happen, his wife died. So it was very, very, very tough on the Prophet. Now, the haiba that Quraysh used to have, the respect that they used to have, the fear that they used to have to go directly to the Prophet because of Abu Talib, now is gone. On the other hand, the shyness, the respect that Quraysh have for Khadija, not to do certain things, in front of her, Khadija is gone. Khadija is gone. So that's it. They have to deal with him directly. It's just like an orphan who is walking, who has no help whatsoever in Mecca. And everybody is against him and hate him and want him to come down. So that's why it's appropriate to say Am al-Husn, because the Prophet, he described that. He said indirectly, he said, that is a year that was very tough on me. That is the only time that he left Mecca and went somewhere else, not a city, to seek for help. To seek help, to see at least if I can have an exit, if I can have a breathing exit, to talk to other people, they will listen to it. And we're going to talk about that story, inshallah.
As a question. Does he ever talk about where they boycotted the Prophet?
Yes. And we talk about, so the boycott was before the death. So the boycott happened in the 9th year. 3 years boycott. It ended in 9th year. And that is the year that both of them died. And both of them were affected from the boycott. Khadija died. Khadija could have stayed family-wise She could have stayed. But Abu Talib also could stay because of deen-wise, but they all choose to be around the Prophet ﷺ. So that was the boycott. So the boycott started 7, 8, and then 9. So all those 3 years, they were sitting outside Medina and they were completely cut off. The Prophet said, we went to a point that these are the prophets, the believers, and people who support them and stand with them were taken out of Mecca and boycott. No business, no trade, no mercy, nothing. And there was very strict monitoring. You can't deal with them. They cannot travel. No one can extend any help for them. 3 years, the Prophet said, "Hatta akalna awraq ash-shajar," till we eat leaves from the trees. And I wish it was big leaves. The desert, you barely can find a tree with big leaves, right? So they were really, Khadija was sick because Khadija had luxury life. She was wealthy. If you put a person like this into that situation for 3 years, she was really affected. So when the boycott was over, she came, and then Abu Talib also was an old man. They came, they died, and Khadija also wasn't young. She was not young. So she was 40 when the Prophet married her, right? So now 9, the Prophet now she's gonna be 50 or 60. Yeah.
69.
69. 40, she was 40 when the Prophet was 25. So add another 15, 55. Add 9, 64. SubhanAllah. So 1 year different, So she died. So that what happened within that time. And when they died, when both of them died, it was very tough on the Prophet ﷺ. So that's why he went to Taif. He would bring the journey in Taif, but we'll talk about that tomorrow, inshallah. Now, he will go direct to Islam, Hamza, but we'll talk about the journey. What happened between the Prophet ﷺ after the death of Khadija and Abu Talib, and where did he go, and what happened there, how did he came back, and all those things, inshallah.